Amid the Trump's tariff sanctions that we are seeing being levied on India, the Democrats are criticizing Trump for sanctions on India. The Democratic Party coming out with a statement and saying Donald Trump is singling out India when it comes to tariff. Trump is hurting the American sentiments, is hurting the American pocket. Donald Trump is sabotaging India-US relationships. Trump is not imposing sanctions on China as he should. Big statements coming in from the Democrats now. Democrats standing firmly with what India has been saying for quite some time now. The Democrats are saying Donald Trump is hurting Americans. He's sabotaging India-US relationships. He's also imposing sanctions on India, and those sanctions are lopsided. Why are no sanctions being put on China? Our guest Bill is with us, and also my colleague Rohit, from both of them joining us from Washington. Bill, big questions now. We are seeing what's happening between India and the United States of America. The ripple effect can actually be felt in the US politics also. Big statement coming in from the Democrats.
Yeah, and I think this is particularly significant insofar as strengthening US-India relations has been one of the most pronounced bipartisan foreign policy issues of the last 25 years in the United States. So what we're seeing with this sort of statement is perhaps the beginning of a greater level of politicization on the US-India relationship. If so, that's not a great sign overall, though it is, of course, I think that in general, India watchers on both sides of the aisle still believe that the US-India relationship is among the most important of this century for the United States. So this administration is pursuing particular goals, using a particular strategy. The Democrats are criticizing that strategy. It doesn't necessarily mean that conservatives or Republicans in the United States have lost faith in the US-India relationship. I think it very well may be more of a statement about the tactics and the strategy being used at this moment.
Right, Bill. Rohit, coming to you now, do you think this will impact the midterm elections? They are far away, but not that far away.
Well, and to be frankly honest with you, I don't think, Ashwarya, as you said, it's still 15 months away or 14 months away first. Second, I think midterms would be fought on local and domestic issues, right? So you go back to economy and jobs and inflation and the domestic issues that the US will have. I don't see, unless the US-Russia war is prolonged up until another year or so, I don't think this would be a factor. But the fact that there are people who are trying to nudge the administration and trying to call out the administration on the fact that these sanctions should be applicable to all those countries that are importing oil, and frankly, to a certain extent, even Europeans, who are buying this oil from India and other countries. So I think it's pretty confusing policy of Trump administration. And when President Trump was asked about it, he basically came out and said that he has a good relationship with Xi Jinping, and their talks are great, and they're looking forward to a trade deal. And that's exactly why, he has not put those additional sanctions or tariffs on China. But I think it's a very confusing policy. People are questioning, media people are questioning, and it's actually interesting that the Democrats are also doing the same thing, at least putting a question forward and trying to understand why China is exempt from these additional tariffs.
That's a big, big and a very important question, Rohit, at the moment, that a lot of people are asking, that you are exempting China, but you are now clearly looking at India. Bill, the big question now is, where will this end? Because it's a tug of war that we are seeing. India is very, very clear. There are certain sectors that India will not open, because if America thinks, or if the president thinks that he now needs to keep America first, India also needs to think about itself. India also needs to put India first.
Yeah, I think again we're in a tough spot here. Ultimately, it's very possible that the two nations decide, okay, on general trade issues and on the issue of Russian oil, perhaps we just can't have a deal, and suddenly our two economies start to drift apart. long term, there's no question that that would be a strategic disaster for both nations. So I think both sides need to really, weigh the immediate impulses that they are fielding at the moment with the long-term geostrategic imperatives on them with the rise of China and with a growing history of momentum towards strengthening relations. But you're right. I think it's going to be difficult if both sides simply say these red lines can't be crossed and we're not budging, then we may be at an impasse.
Maybe at an impetus, that's something which, I think both the administrations, Bill, US and India, very closely looking at.